Contrary to popular beliefs, I was not shot in an alleged ambush. I was run over by a dump truck.
When was the last time you stood up and applauded a movie? Audiences across America are standing up, applauding, and cheering a film called Walking Tall.
I thought you walked tall, but I get done learn how to crawl. You let them do this to me and get away with it, and you give them the eternal right to do the same damn thing to any one of you.
Walking Tall. It's a deeply moving contemporary film based on the true story of a young man who wouldn't surrender to the system and the girl who always stood beside him.
You gambled your life, and no one has come to say thank you.
Maybe nobody really does give a damn.
It's the picture your neighbors are talking about. It has been called the best American movie of the year. Join the audiences applauding Walking Tall, rated R.
Welcome back to the Pusser University of Criminal Justice, where I, your host, even with 5 broken ribs, 2 of which had multiple breaks, a torn rotator cuff in my left shoulder, and a broken clavicle, and on some of the best pain medications that money can legally buy in America, can still tell the story of Walking Tall Sheriff Buford Pusser far more accurately than even the local historians and the fans of Buford Pusser fan pages. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for all the well wishes and such that I've received over the past week. They meant more to me than you can imagine. I feel like I'm lucky to be here. Give you a little insight about the accident. I had exited the interstate, pulled up to a traffic light in Bentonville. The state trooper was sitting in a left turn lane adjacent to me, along with another vehicle in the lane beside the trooper. And as the light turned from red to green, I waited a few seconds and proceeded through, and was instantly hit by a dump truck that was traveling at an excessive rate of speed. Didn't realize that I was hurt for a little while. I guess I was running on adrenaline. Got out, walked around, checked my car out, talked to the trooper for a little bit. And next thing I knew, I was in the hospital and got the bad news about the broken ribs and such. But be that as it may, we've got to keep on keeping on. So today we're going to talk about everything that led us to be brainwashed into believing that the Pusser legend was true, insofar as the movie Walking Tall goes. And I've got clips from all 3 movies that we're going to take a look at. You saw one just previously to me coming on, and we're going to replay that again, and we're going to take a serious look at what there was in those clips to make us believe that the story was at least semi-true.
When was the last time you stood up and applauded a movie? Audiences across America are standing up, applauding, and cheering a film called Walking Tall.
I thought you walked tall, but I get done learn how to crawl. You let them do this to me and get away with it, and you give them the eternal right to do the same damn thing to any one of you.
Walking Tall. It's a deeply moving contemporary film based on the true story of a young man who wouldn't surrender to the system and the girl who always stood beside him.
You gambled your life, and no one has come to say thank you.
Maybe nobody really does give a damn.
It's the picture your neighbors are talking about. It has been called the best American movie of the year. Join the audiences applauding Walking Tall, rated R.
Now, I'd like to point out that many of us saw the movie trailer long before we saw the movie itself. And I think a lot of us had anticipation into what a good movie it might be. After all, when you listen closely to the way they described it, it said it was a deeply moving contemporary film based upon the true story of a young man that wouldn't surrender to the system. Now, keep in mind that we're seeing this trailer before we see the movie, well before we see the movie, and we're already told it's true, which makes us wonder how many of us actually really read through and thought about the caption in the film that later told us that it was just based on certain events in the life of Buford Pusser. So there you have that. Movie one. And this is just one trailer. There's several that indicated that this was a true story. And now we know it wasn't. So we were brainwashed by the trailers before we ever saw the movie itself. Now let's go on to the next one.
If anything ever happens to me, I want you to be sure you finish telling my story. More than 70 million people saw Walking Tall and met Sheriff Buford Pusser, a true-life hero. Now, part 2 of Walking Tall tells the story Buford wanted told. It answers the questions people asked him.
What happened to Buford's children?
I love you, Daddy. Come home soon. I'm taking care of things real good.
I know you are, son.
Did Buford find the people who murdered his wife?
I'll be damned if I can understand you, Buford.
The only way I can get to the man at the top is by tearing away from the bottom on up.
No matter who you destroy?
There's no man or thing that's gonna talk or scare him out of it. Because this is a job he's gonna want to finish himself.
Hey! Put that down. I'm gonna take your head off.
Did they try to get Buford again?
We crashed him out over 100 miles an hour, loaded all that dynamite onto the hood of that car.
I don't know how you do it, just do it! It's a setup! Buford's been shot! Come on, let's go!
What really happened to Buford Pusser?
Well, now, this coming week, you happen to read about a certain car accident he's gonna have.
Part 2 of Walking Tall is a true story. Bo Swenson authentically portrays the man who reached out and touched a nation. See what happened to his children, his parents, and his friends.
Look out! Someone destroyed my family. My children are motherless on account of the man at the top. And that's who I'm after.
Part 2, Walking Tall, is his story.
Be sure and subscribe and hit that bell so that you'll get notifications of new videos when they're released. In the trailer to Walking Tall Part 2, they refer to the movie itself as Buford being a true life hero. Well, there was hardly anything in the second movie that was true. Then they had different captions with voiceovers, like where the lady said, "What happened to Buford's children?" Well, that's almost hilarious because they don't tell us what happened to Buford's children, and plus they don't even mention Diane at all. They didn't tell us that after Buford was killed, that Dewana and Helen basically split the inheritance, that Mike and Diane got virtually nothing, which is kind of a travesty in itself. And then they ask, did they find the people who killed his wife? Well, no, we know they didn't. I don't know why they asked the question if they're not giving us an answer to that. And then it asked, did they try to get Buford again? I'm not sure they ever tried to get him in the first place. There's no evidence of it other than Buford always being shot or stabbed by some unidentified party. There were never any witnesses. So, it was just his word against everything else, and never any evidence to back up that there was a syndicate that was out to get Buford, like it showed in all three of the movies. And then at the end of the clip, it described Walking Tall Part 2 as a true story. Well, we know that's hogwash. And, the Pusser fan pages and the local historians won't tell you that. Now, one of the things that I found particularly amazing was how they started the clip in the first place by saying, if anything ever happens to me, I want you to finish telling my story. There's no indication that he ever said that in the first place. No one had any idea that he would be killed before that the second movie was made. So, that right there just tells you they were trying to brainwash us into believing from the very start, just the way that is worded, that if anything ever happens to me, that someone was out to get him. It's just kind of ridiculous when you look back at it and you realize that the story was just completely fabricated, or almost completely fabricated. Now, let's move on to the final chapter, which to me was just a grab for money. I mean, after all, the first movie was highly successful. The second one was a very mediocre movie. And the third one, to me personally, I just felt like it was a grab for any money that they could get. Let's take a look at it.
America applauded Tennessee Sheriff Buford Pusser's true life heroism in the Walking Tall motion pictures.
Hold it, Pusser.
The space is closed. Everybody out! Now, all new, final chapter Walking Tall brings you the emotionally charged climax.
McNairy County does not need a new white earp to come in and shoot the bad guys.
Bad, Buford.
James Bacon says Buford Pusser walks taller than ever before in final chapter, Walking Tall.
But there's something wrong with a law that protects the guilty and don't care about the innocent.
This ain't McNairy County. Ain't no county at all, so you just another sucker here, Sheriff, that's all.
After all the pain and the hurt and the grief that job has brought to you, you really like being sheriff.
There was only one way to stop him.
Get him! Get him!
You'll say, Buford Pusser. Now there was a man. Don't miss the best and final chapter, Walking Tall.
Now, this trailer also took a lot of liberties. For instance, it stated, America applauded Tennessee Sheriff Buford Pusser's true-life heroism in the Walking Tall motion picture. There's almost nothing true about the third episode in the franchise. Yep, Buford got killed in a car wreck. It didn't show why. As we now know, it was due to being intoxicated and driving his Corvette too fast. Like I say, we were brainwashed into believing this was a true story. Now, what tickles me is you have all the YouTube and Facebook internet Karens out there who want to believe that Walking Tall and the other movies in the franchise were all true. Some people just can't get over the fact that almost the entire story was fabricated, and it was all about money. So there you have it, folks. Now, in the Saturday short that's coming up, we're going to take a few of the movie clips and show some of the ridiculous scenes that a lot of people still believe. A little bit hilarious, but at any rate, we'll take a look at it anyway. Until then, just remember, the truth has no agenda.